Thank you, brothers and sisters and pastors all over the world who give a hand to the work in Fiji. Well, I'd like to give my testimony. With my third child, a boy, the first boy in the family, and after 6 months, he was sick. I was brought up in a Catholic family, and I know the same as many of us here, been brought up as Catholic. We believe that that's the first church and the right one, which is wrong. And when my son was sick, I took him around 3 main hospitals in Fiji, but they couldn't help. One day I was walking with my wife and daughters to the hospital. I met someone from the AOG. He was my workmate. And he asked me, "Where are you going?" I said, "To visit my son in the hospital." And he said that for all this time working together, you never mentioned this. And he told me that you need to open a door and you will see that your need will be met. Without any idea what he was talking about, I said, "Yeah, the door is open." And he was going to an outreach on the bus station in Nandi. And after the meeting, after the outreach, we went together to the hospital. And the pastor went to the doctor, and the doctor was very strict of visiting at the wrong time. And it amazed me that he didn't say anything to this pastor. And we went to see my son, and he prayed. He prayed for my son. And the next morning, Monday, my sister-in-law was the matron of the hospital. He rang and said, "Your son is discharged." It really hit me that I thought Catholic was the right one. So AOG is better. And so I joined the AOG. And later on, I met Joseph Ulemalolo. He is my cousin. And he told me that AOG is, can be good, but you need to be spirit-filled with the evidence of speaking in other tongues. I looked at him and I knew that he wasn't very well educated. And after 2 months, he visited again at my island. And he told me that the same story, that I need to be spirit-filled. And we went to my home, and he prayed for us. Sister Miriam received, speaking in other tongues. And I got a bit jealous because I was supposed to be spirit-filled first. Yes, and from then on, I started seeking for the Holy Spirit. I prayed and fasted, and one day I was praying, and all of a sudden, this wonderful thing takes place on me. I can feel it from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. Peace and joy comes upon me when I was speaking a totally new language. From then on, I won't let anyone know, let anyone to deny to me that being spirit-filled is speaking in other tongues. And that's why I tell everyone in Fiji, whenever I have a chance to talk about God. And from then on, I see miracles, signs and wonders happening. I started as a pastor way back in 1987. And from those days, there wasn't any support. I worked as, first of all, before I was married, I was a school teacher. Then joined the hotel industry, started as a wine waiter, and up as a front office manager. And everyone, most of the people from the hotels, they traveled to Australia, and I said, I would like to go to Australia too. But working in a hotel doesn't help, doesn't have enough money to pay for the fare to Australia. And I left the hotel and started fishing business, which was a very good business in the terms back in Fiji. I make $350 a day on a bad day, and making $1,600 a day on a very good fishing day. That was when the sea is very, very rough. And that's the time a lot of fish. And to make the testimonies, the story short, from the fishing ground, I was called to be a pastor. That is way back in 87. And I have to make a decision to go on full-time pastor or fishing and be a pastor at the same time. Then I left fishing, left the boat, all the fishing years back home, and I went to Suva with my family in a 1.5-ton truck. Everything was there and all my family to go to Suva. And life started to be prospering with the Lord, which is a great miracle. I visited most of the island in Fiji, traveling on boats day and night, out on the deck, wet when the sea is rough. But my wife, Sister Miriam, says, It's the best time when you go out visiting saints. Lots of blessing in the family. People brings in everything, food, money, and so we prefer, she said, we prefer you go out preaching the gospel. One day when I was going to visit an island, Sister Miriam said that I would like to join you, come to that particular assembly to visit. We went together, and we went there. The jetty was away from everywhere, and we got off the jetty with hundreds of people, and all the people from the island have already ordered their transport to their village, but we didn't know that. So we got off, and after about an hour, we arrived there at 2:30 in the morning, and all the trucks gone, and the people from the island, and there I was with Sister Miriam and another sister from my village. I was sitting on top of a big rock, and with my bag on my back and laying back, and Sister Miriam was standing and said, what about us? I said, you find a rock. And she said, me, sleeping on the rock? I said, when you say your testimony, you say that you got a lot of blessing from me going out visiting saints from in other islands, and this is where you get your blessing from, me sleeping on the rock. And we visited 2 villages on the island. Now we have a steady growing center in that island now. So those people I have visited or later on gone, but we have people from that same island steady in the Lord today. Well, at times we are disappointed of what is the outcome of what we have been doing for the Lord. But the Lord knows. He knows better. Never give up. Continue to preach the gospel in whatever condition. Yes, just lately, when I was in Papua New Guinea, a brother rang and said that there was a miracle takes place back home in Fiji. There was a new center in the name of the place is Naimasamasi, and the house leader, Moses, have a complaint to his wife of his health on an afternoon, and he said that something is wrong. So he lay down, and just later on, he passed away. And they were just about 6 months in the Lord, and the wife and her sister-in-law, they lay hands on Leader Moses and prayed in the Spirit for about half an hour. He was out cold. They knew that he was dead. And later on, when they were praying, they can feel that his body was getting warm again. And later on, they took him to the hospital. And the doctor said that this guy had been passed away. You can see from his examination on him. And there was Leader Moses talking to the doctor, whom think that he already passed away, but he's there. And later on, 2 weeks later, I visited Leader Moses in Naimasimasi, and he was in good health, rejoicing in the Lord. Yeah, a brother yesterday asked me if I ever prayed for someone who is dead and get back to life. And I told him I didn't, and other pastors didn't, but two sisters, they did. Yes, it doesn't matter whether a pastor or anyone else, as far as we have rely totally in the Lord, and the Lord can perform miracles. And all the people say,